What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to be discussing the Tony Gonzalez trade, which occurred during the 1997 NFL Draft. Now, this is the third trade breakdown of our NFL Hall of Fame week, as during the 1997 NFL Draft, 3 future Hall of Famers were selected, and all 3 happened to be traded up for, so it kind of worked out in our favor. So, without further ado, this was a trade between the Kansas City Chiefs and the then Tennessee Oilers that saw 6 picks change hands. How did this trade work out? We'll start by discussing the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Kansas City got the 13th overall pick, which they would use to select tight end Tony Gonzalez. Now, Gonzalez had a relatively quiet rookie season, but he stepped up in 1998, recording 59 receptions for 621 yards along with a pair of touchdowns. Now, in 1999, he became a red zone threat. He caught a total of 76 passes for 849 yards and a career-best 11 touchdowns. Now, he got even better in the year 2000, as he ended that year with 93 receptions for 1,203 yards and 9 touchdowns. He continued to play at a top-tier level in 2001, as he would catch 73 passes in exchange for 917 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, in 2002, he caught 63 passes for 773 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, he would step up his game even more so in 2003, posting totals of 71 receptions for 916 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, he had a career year in 2004, as he actually led the league with a career-high 102 receptions, a career-high 1,258 yards, and a respectable 7 touchdowns. Now, he wasn't just your normal tight end. Obviously, he could stretch the field when he needed to. Now, in 2005, he did regress slightly, but he still caught a very impressive 78 passes for 905 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Now, he would follow that up with a similar year in 2006, as he would record 73 receptions for 900 yards, but he at least improved his touchdown output with 5. Now, he had another very strong season in 2007, as he would catch 99 passes for 1,172 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, during 2008, Gonzalez set the record for most receiving yards by a tight end in a career. He ended that year with 96 receptions, 1,058 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Now, after this year, he would request a trade, and it was granted. All said and done, though, he was a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time First-Team All-Pro, a 3-time Second-Team All-Pro. He led the NFL in receptions 1 time, and he is a member of many groups. He's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the NFL 2000s All-Decade Team, the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team, and the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame. That's an awful lot of accolades for a guy. What did they get in exchange for him? They sent him to the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for a 2010 second-round pick. Keep in mind, Gonzalez was in his mid-30s at this point, so it's not that crazy. Now, that second-round pick would become the 50th overall, which the Chiefs would use to select cornerback Javier Arenas. Now, Arenas would serve as a kick and punt returner, as well as a backup corner for the team. In his time with the organization, he would return 156 kicks for 2,104 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, he recorded a pair of interceptions, 23 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 sacks, and 137 tackles before he was traded to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for fullback Anthony Sherman. Now, Sherman was one of the league's better fullbacks during his time in Kansas City. He was decently involved in the passing game in 2013, which was his first year in Kansas City, as he caught 18 passes for 155 yards with a touchdown. All said and done, over his 8-year career in Kansas City, he registered 53 receptions for 441 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 27 times for 70 yards with 1 touchdown. Now, he would retire after the 2020 season. He was a 1-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time Second-Team All-Pro, and he was a member of their Super Bowl winning team. Now, it is noted that he was a really good blocker as well, thus why he was a fullback, thus why his offensive numbers aren't that great, but you got to remember, fullbacks don't usually get that involved in the offense. Now, Kansas City hit with Gonzalez. They also got one more pick, the 110th pick in the 97 draft. They would use that to select quarterback Pat Barnes. Now, Barnes spent a single year on the team, but he never played a down, and then he was cut. Very impressive for them. How did the Tennessee Oilers do? So the first pick that they got was the 18th overall, which they would use to pick defensive end Kenny Holmes. Now, Holmes had a solid rookie year, as he would record 33 tackles with 7 sacks. Now, he would earn a starting role in 1998, but he regressed, recording 2.5 sacks with 33 tackles. He had a slight bounce back in 1999 as he managed to record 4 sacks and the only 2 interceptions of his career. And then he also recorded a pair of forced fumbles and 2 sacks en route to a Super Bowl performance, but unfortunately for the team, they would lose. He had a career year in the year 2000 though, as he set a career high with 8 sacks and 5 forced fumbles while also getting 37 tackles. After that year, he would walk as a free agent. He started to come to his own near the end of his rookie deal, which is always good but bad. Now they also got the 81st pick, which was used to select offensive tackle Scott Sanderson. Now Sanderson spent 4 years as a backup, playing on special teams before leaving the team as a free agent. The 116th pick was also acquired by Tennessee, and they would trade this to the New Orleans Saints to move up to the 107th pick. With that pick, they would select defensive end Pratt Lyons. Now, Lyons recorded 4.5 sacks with 52 tackles over 2 seasons before he was cut. The last pick the Tennessee Oilers got was the 181st pick here in the 1997 draft. They would use that to select linebacker Dennis Stallings, and Stallings managed 2 tackles across 2 seasons in a very minor reserve role before he was cut. So that's how Tennessee and Kansas City did. How did the other teams involved do? We'll start by looking at the Atlanta Falcons, as they got tight end Tony Gonzalez. Now, Gonzalez continued to play at a very high level in 2009, as he ended that year with 83 receptions for 867 yards and 6 touchdowns. His age did somewhat start to catch up to him in 2010, as he caught 70 passes for 656 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, he considered retiring after the season due to the impending lockout, but he decided to return. And he actually had a pretty decent year, pretty strong year in 2011, as he caught 80 passes for 875 yards and 7 touchdowns. He pushed age to the side in 2012, as he had an elite season, recording 93 catches for 930 yards and 8 touchdowns. Now, he would return for one final season in 2013, and he left the NFL on a high note, recording 83 receptions for 859 yards and 8 touchdowns. After that, he did retire, but his time in Atlanta wasn't meaningless. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time first-team All-Pro, and of course, he's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team, although those two memberships are mostly due to what he did in Kansas City, but you can't discredit for what he did in Atlanta. He was still playing at a very high level for the vast majority of his time there. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals, who got cornerback Javier Arenas, and Arenas would serve as a kick returner, returning 23 kicks for 493 yards. Now, he also spent some time on defense, as he would record 12 tackles and 1 sack, but he would walk. The last team we have is the New Orleans Saints, who got a pair of draft picks in 1997, the first of which was the 116th, which they would use to select wide receiver Keith Poole. Now, Poole had a relatively quiet first 2 years in the league, recording 28 receptions for 607 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he had a career year in 1999, registering 42 catches for 796 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, in the year 2000, he regressed a bit, catching 21 passes for 293 yards with a single touchdown, and after that year, he walked as a free agent. They also got the 165th pick, which they used to pick another offensive weapon in tight end Nicky Savoy. Now, Savoy would catch a single pass for 14 yards in the 1997 season, but that was all she wrote for Savoy. Now, this was the Tony Gonzalez trade. I hope you guys enjoyed this. The rest of the videos for the Hall of Fame week will be linked in the description below. Have a good rest of your day.